So let us see details about all the supported formats in Spark to create data frames and save them. Following file formats are supported out of the box with Spark. One is text, second one is JSON, third one is ORC, fourth one is Parquet. So when it comes to text files, there are two types of files predominantly. One is fixed length, second one is variable length but delimited. So if you have fixed length data sets, or if you have files which have fixed length records, then you have to use text to read the data. If you have variable length records, but if the records are delimited, then you have to use CSV. If it is variable length record, and if it is not delimited using a standard delimiter like comma, then you have to come up with custom logic by going to the requirements. But those scenarios are a bit unlikely compared to fixed length and the variable length delimited datasets. On top of text, we have JSON, ORC, Parquet. There are APIs available directly. Avro is available with third-party plugins. Only when you start using the third-party plugin, you should be able to use Avro either to read the data from Avro files or to write data back into file system using Avro file format. So here I have given examples to read all kinds of data using text, using CSV, using JSON, ORC, Parquet, etc. Instead of running all these examples, because it will be very repetitive, I'll be focusing only one thing, which is nothing but Avro. Avro requires third-party plugin, and hence we'll actually see how to use the third-party plugin while reading the data in a particular file format other than the ones which are supported out of the box. So that being said, the first thing what you are supposed to do is, if you want to use Avro file format as part of Spark Shell, then while launching Spark Shell, you have to register the packages by saying -- packages and then com.databricks. This is the group ID. You have to specify the artifact ID also. The artifact ID is nothing but spark -avro _2.11 and then 4.0.0. Okay. You can also search for these details by opening the browser, saying Databricks Avro and hit enter. You can click on this GitHub repository and it will actually give the details. So you can actually click on this, and probably somewhere here they might have the documentation related to Avro. Okay, starting from Spark 2.4, Avro is part of Spark itself. Up to Spark 2.3, it is not part of this. It is a third-party plugin. That's why we tend to use the packages and register the jar file. However, I think from Spark 2.4, it is part of Apache Spark project itself, and hence we don't need to perform these additional steps. However, we will actually go back to this old documentation, and here they explain the details with respect to the group ID, artifact ID, and the version. Okay, so this is how you can add it as part of your build.sbt if you want to use these things as part of your programs. If you want to launch Spark Shell with appropriate packages, you have to use this approach. That's what we have done here. So depending upon what you are trying to do, you have to take the necessary action. And then once this is registered, then we can either use spark.read.avro to read the files of Avro file format, or we can also use spark.read.format. So both the approaches will work without any issues. So here, let me start this Spark Shell. In case if you want to develop programs, you have to go to build.sbt and you have to specify the library dependencies like this: com.databricks, spark-avro. I don't know, it is taking a bit of time for the response. And then version. Version is nothing but 4.0.0. Are you guys able to hear me properly, or are there any breakup in between? Because my Windows machine is not responding properly. So I just want to clarify. Okay. Now, as Avro package is registered, if you actually look into spark.read.aps, you will see this additional API called as Avro. But for that, we need to import. As we haven't imported, it is not showing up. So the way you can import is by saying import com.databricks and then spark and then avro _, and also spark.avro. And now if I say spark.read and hit tab, we will see Avro as well here. Now either we can read data by saying spark.read.avro by giving the path if you have Avro files. We'll come back to this in a moment. Or you can also say format. When it comes to format, we have to give fully qualified path of the Avro API, which is nothing but com.databricks.spark.avro, and then you have to say load, and you have to give the path of your Avro files. If you don't have Avro files, what you can do is we can read our existing data. We already have JSON data, so I'm reading that JSON data here by saying val orders equal to spark.read.json. Even if you have CSV files, you can use that also. There is no issue. you should be able to create a data frame. Once the data frame is created, you can save the way you want. So in this case, first I will write into Avro, then I will read it using the appropriate APIs. So spark.read.json, and the path is nothing but mntc data retail db JSON orders. Now the data frame is being created. Now I can say orders dot write dot, and you should be able to see the Avro API. However, I want to use the format approach, because with format we have to give complete qualified API name, which is nothing but com.databricks spark.avro. If you directly use orders.write.avro, you don't need to specify this fully qualified path. Then you can actually say save. So when you use format, you have to use save, and then you can give the path. The path is nothing but mntc data orders avro, and then hit enter. Now you go here, go to C data, and you can see the orders Avro here, which is just created, and there are two files that are created here. Avro is a binary file format, and hence if you open these things using WordPad or the Notepad, you will not be able to see the data properly, and hence I will not be opening up directly here. By looking at extension itself, I am assuming that it is Avro, but to ensure that it is actually Avro file, what we can do now, we can actually say spark.read.avro or format com.databricks.spark.avro load mntc data orders avro, and then show. So this will actually read the data and will present as long as the path which we have provided contain files in Avro file format. As we are able to read the data with Avro API, that means our data which is saved is also Avro file format. So this is how you can validate. Like this, you can validate with all other file formats also, Parquet, ORC, etc.